She is 60, but her soul carries dust from centuries the calendar never recorded. Time did not merely pass through her. It paused, tested her, and left its weight behind. Her eyes have seen endings before beginnings could fully bloom. She learned early that life does not always ask if you are ready before it takes something away. She walked through years that bent her spine and sharpened her silence. Every step forward was a negotiation with pain that refused to stay behind. She did not inherit sorrow. She earned it through nights where hope flickered like a candle in a storm, through mornings that arrived without answers. At 60, her smile is practiced, not fake, refined. It knows where to appear and where to retreat, protecting the stories that no longer need witnesses. Her hands remember what her voice refuses to explain. They tremble slightly, not from age, but from the echo of everything they once held and were forced to release. She loved in eras where love demanded sacrifice, not convenience. She stayed when leaving would have been easier, and paid for loyalty with silence. Her soul aged faster than her body. It learned patience before joy, endurance before rest. It learned how to survive without becoming cruel. She does not speak of injustice anymore. She has made peace with the unfairness of breathing. Some hearts are chosen to carry more, so others may walk lighter. Her sorrow is ancient, but it is dignified. It does not beg for sympathy. It sits quietly beside her, like an old companion that never learned how to leave. At 60, she is not broken. She is layered, built from grief, stitched with faith, held together by a strength no one applauded. Her soul has walked centuries, not because it wanted to, but because stopping was never allowed. And still, she stands, still soft, still human, still breathing hope into a world that took far more than it ever returned. Her soul grew old before her hair ever turned silver. Life hurried her through lessons. Others learned slowly, gently, with room to rest. She learned endurance the hard way, by needing it, by waking up when her heart begged for just one more night of peace. There were seasons. She carried grief like a second spine, holding herself upright when the world leaned heavily against her patience. She mastered the art of swallowing pain without letting it poison her spirit. She cried where no one could see, healed where no one applauded, and continued as if survival were simply expected of her. Her memories are not loud. They do not shout for attention. They arrive quietly, sit beside her, and remind her of who she had to become to stay alive. She loved people who never learned how to protect her heart. She gave loyalty to those who mistook it for permanence. Still, she does not regret loving. Her sorrow taught her how fragile joy is and how sacred. She learned to hold happiness with both hands, carefully, knowing it could disappear without warning. At 60, she no longer resists sadness. She understands it. It is a language. Her soul speaks fluently now. Her prayers are not dramatic. They are steady. They rise from a place that has known disappointment and still chooses faith. She has forgiven without receiving apologies. She has moved on without closure. She has healed without permission. Her soul has walked centuries because it carried stories that refused to die young. Each sorrow aged her. Each loss refined her. Each silence shaped her resilience. And still, she remains kind, not naive, intentional, choosing softness in a world that rewarded hardness. She is 60, but her soul is ancient, etched with sorrow, seasoned with wisdom, and steady enough to keep walking, even when the road offers no promise of rest. Her body shows 60 years, but her soul remembers far more. It remembers nights that lasted longer than they should have, and mornings that arrived too soon, with new tests waiting. She learned to carry disappointment with elegance, to nod politely at life, even when it took too much, and gave too little in return. There were dreams she folded away carefully, not because they died, but because survival needed the space. She learned early that some battles cannot be won, only endured. So she endured, without turning bitter, without letting sorrow rewrite her nature. Her silence grew heavier with time, not empty, dense, filled with names she no longer speaks, places she no longer visits, memories she revisits only in prayer. She trusted once, without hesitation, loved without armor. The world corrected her harshly, yet she never learned cruelty. She learned caution. There is a difference, and her soul knows it well. At 60, she does not chase happiness. She recognizes it. When it pauses briefly at her door, she welcomes it quietly and lets it leave without protest. Her sorrow matured into understanding. Her grief softened into wisdom. Her heartbreak turned into restraint. She has lived through moments that demanded she disappear. Yet she remained, not loudly, not heroically, just steadily. Her soul has walked centuries because it carried truths too heavy for youth. Truths about love, about loyalty, about how easily people leave when staying becomes difficult. Still, she believes in goodness, not because life proved it, but because she chose it. She walks forward now, with measured steps, carrying her years like sacred text, worn, respected, and never discarded. At 60, she is not tired of living. She is tired of explaining how much living cost her. At 60, endurance is no longer something she practices. It is who she is. It has shaped her voice, tempered her reactions, and taught her when silence is the only honest response. She no longer argues with fate. She listens, because fighting the inevitable only left her exhausted, never victorious. Her heart learned how to close gently, not in defense, but in preservation. Not everyone deserved access to the depth she survived. There were days she held herself together with nothing but routine. Wake, breathe, continue. Sometimes that was all she had, and it was enough. She watched love change its meaning. Once, it was sacrifice. Then it became survival. Now it is peace. At 60, she understands that loyalty without boundaries becomes self-betrayal. So she learned boundaries without losing her kindness. Her eyes still carry sorrow, but they no longer apologize for it. Pain is not a flaw. It is proof of living deeply. In a shallow world, she has outlived versions of herself that did not know how to survive. She mourned them quietly, then became someone stronger without losing compassion. Her prayers are slower now, not from doubt, from certainty. She no longer begs. She trusts She does not resent her past. It made her precise, careful with promises, selective with love, grateful for calm. Her soul has walked centuries because it learned how to carry tomorrow on the back of yesterday. Each step forward, earned through patience rather than hope. At 60, she is not seeking new beginnings. She is protecting what remains: her peace, her dignity, her gentle heart. She walks on, not to prove anything, but because stopping was never written into her fate. And even now, with all those centuries behind her, she continues, quietly powerful, unmistakably alive. At 60, she learned grace, the way others learn language, through repetition, through mistakes, through pain corrected by patience. She discovered that dignity is not given, it is built. Each time you choose calm over chaos, silence over reaction, she stopped asking why life was harder for her. Questions only reopened wounds that were finally learning to close. Her heart slowed its expectations, not because it stopped believing, but because belief needed rest. She learned to sit with herself, without distractions, without noise, and not feel empty. Loneliness once scared her. Now it feels familiar, almost kind. She no longer rushes joy. She lets it arrive in its own time. Stay as long as it wishes. Leave without guilt. At 60, she understands that peace is not loud. It does not celebrate. It simply settles, and she lets it stay. Time tried to harden her. It failed. It tested her patience until it thought it would crack. Instead, it softened her edges. She did not become cold. She became careful. There is mercy in that difference. Her kindness survived betrayal. Her faith survived disappointment. Her heart survived stories that never found justice. She learned that anger burns the one who holds it. So she released it, piece by piece, breath by breath. Her eyes still carry sorrow, but they also carry clarity. She sees people now, without illusions. She no longer mistakes attention for love, or promises for commitment. At 60, she trusts actions, respects silence, and values consistency over grand words. Time did not harden her. It refined her. After everything life took, so much still remains. Her ability to feel, her instinct to care, her courage to wake up without guarantees. She is no longer afraid of being misunderstood. She understands herself now. That is enough. Her past no longer chases her. It walks beside her. Quiet, tame, acknowledged. She remembers loss, but she also remembers survival. Both shaped her equally. At 60, she measures life in moments of calm, in honest conversations, in evenings that end without regret. She has stopped proving her worth. Those who needed proof were never meant to understand her value. Her soul is tired, but not defeated. Worn, but still willing. She continues, not because life became easy, but because she became strong in ways ease never teaches. She is 60, and her soul has walked centuries, yet it still chooses light over bitterness. That is her final victory. She does not announce her strength. It lives in her posture, in her restraint, in her refusal to become what hurt her. Her story will never be loud, but it will be deep. It will live quietly inside those who recognize it. She is proof that survival does not always roar. Sometimes it whispers, "I'm still here." At 60, she no longer waits. For life to be fair, she has made peace with what was, and protected what is. Her soul, aged by sorrow, stands dignified, not asking to be remembered, yet impossible to forget. She carries centuries behind her, but she walks forward, with grace, with restraint, with a heart that never surrendered its humanity. If her story touched you, leave a comment and let her silent strength be heard.